Types of firewalls. First one is going to be packet filtering firewall. First one is packet filtering firewall. Second one is going to be stateful inspection firewall. Third one is going to be proxy firewall. So there are basically three types of firewalls, guys. So whenever you go for either packet filtering or stateful inspection or proxy firewall, so based upon our infrastructure, how we are basically using in our particular work area, that is basically either if you consider an office. So in corporate office, what kind of security you want, what kind of applications you are using, and what is your exactly work. On that basis, you are going to decide whether you want to go for packet filtering, stateful inspection, or proxy firewall. Now, whenever you go for applications, so these firewalls basically they try to protect your data against unauthorized access. So what is basically unauthorized access? If let's say there is one kind of user ID and password portal where each an employee can come and log in and he can basically use the network, whatever the databases are covered in that network. Let's say there are basically 2 to 3 databases connected to the same network, and there is one production server which is connected to the network. So if someone gets the access to that network, he automatically gets the access to the database and other resources, whatever are connected to that particular common network. So for that, what we do is we basically separate it with something called as authorization. Authorization is nothing but user ID and password. So whoever is a genuine employee, he will definitely have a user ID and password. So on that basis, we will basically either keep a email ID and password, that is email ID with tcs.com. Let's say TCS is our example. So if TCS company is there, each and every employee who is working in TCS, he will definitely have a subdomain email ID, that is irfan@tcs.com, or something called as you can tell ram@tcs.com, farman@tcs.com. So whatever name is there, after that name, you will definitely have the domain name of your company. So on that basis, you are going to you're going to create different login IDs. So now once we basically give this user IDs and passwords, now what will happen if someone will try to either you can tell steal user ID and password, if he is trying to log in with someone other employee's credentials. So that time what will happen? So that is basically where firewalls come in. So firewalls basically keep on monitoring the whole network. They keep on monitoring each and every packet which is being sent from one particular IP address to another particular IP address. So that is the main where firewalls come in. Now, whenever you go for these activities like downloading files, uploading files, login, logout, these are all nothing but different activities. So these activities are considered as logs and monitors. So once you, let's say you log in, this is basically going to generate one log. Once you log out, this is going to generate one log. So like this, if you download, upload, so let's say I download something from database, download a file from database, that is going to generate again one log. So like that, guys, in one particular corporate network, in that particular network, whatever activities we are basically performing, either it is editing, downloading, uploading, these all are basically you can tell monitored. First thing is these are all saved in one particular database, whatever the actions are being taken. And once these basically logs are being saved, and again there will be a firewall who will live monitor these particular logs. So monitoring these logs is nothing but they are going to monitor the activities of the particular users who are using the Wi-Fi or any kind of network of your particular corporate office. So Whenever I tell something about monitoring, it basically considers as logs monitoring. So log is nothing but activities. Technically, whenever you go for security terms or corporate terms or industry terms, so whatever activity a user is performing, that particular activity is considered as logs. So firewall's basic and one of the most important point to note here is firewalls monitor logs. They monitor all the logs, how many users are there, all the users are being monitored, and once that particular user performs something malicious, or they basically try to upload a malware, upload a virus in particular database or server, that time firewall is going to block that particular user, block that particular IP address, and it is going to generate an alert to the administrator that so and so IP address is performing so and so activity. For that purpose, we need firewalls. That is the main advantage and that is the main application of the firewall. So here, let me just write the application. Application of firewall is nothing but to monitor logs. This is basically the application of a firewall. Now, whenever you go for firewalls, guys, in types, you got packet filtering, stateful inspection, and uh, proxy firewall. So there are basically three types of firewalls. Now, whenever you go for packet filtering firewall, here name itself tells that this is basically something which is related to network, and it is going to monitor all the traffic which is being generated in one particular network. Now, whenever we basically send one particular message, let's come back here. So whenever there is a client and whenever there is a server, you basically try to send one message to the server. Let's say you are on WhatsApp and you are sending one message to one of your friend. So that time what will happen is this particular message is basically splitted into packets. So it is basically splitted into packets, and those packets are shared to the server, and that server is going to send it to the location. That is basically one of your friend, whoever you are trying to send a message. So you are basically going to be the client. So you're basically going to be the sender. That particular person is going to be the receiver. And in between, we have the whole architecture, that is either firewall, server, database, where our logs are being stored. This all architecture is in between. So here is the sender, here is the receiver, and in between we have all the architecture, which is basically the if you take and consider either WhatsApp. So this is basically WhatsApp's architecture, where the firewall is deployed, server is deployed. So like that, whenever you're sending a message, so one particular message will be encrypted, and then it will be sent in a different packets of data. So once it is basically splitted into different packets, that packets are being sent to the particular receiver. So in between you have firewall. Now what is the use of firewall here? So in packet filtering firewall, guys, it basically operates on a layer 3 network. So let me just write here. So whenever you go for packet filtering firewall, so let me just keep bullets. It operates what is a layer 3 in OSI layer, guys? What does it deal with in OSI model? Layer 3. What is layer 3 in OSI model? Network layer, right? So exactly, whenever you go for network layer, packets basically come under the network itself. So here, packet filtering firewall, what it does is it basically examines all the packets of data which are basically passing through the firewall. Here, whenever I have firewall here, no matter how many clients are there, either I have basically one client or I have another client, either I have 4, 5, 6, 700, 800 clients, doesn't matter. So whoever is basically trying to send a message here, so this particular firewall will filter all the packets. So packet filtering firewall's duty is to filter all the packets and basically send that particular packets to the destination. So here, whenever we are trying to filter all the packets, here we are trying to check whether these packets are having something malware, are they having something kind of malicious content which contains malware, viruses, or something which is not recommended in the complete architecture of a complete corporate network, where it can infect the servers, it can infect the databases. So we don't want that. So that is why we basically have the packet filtering firewall to examine all the packets in detail. So that is why we use packet filtering firewall. So now packet filtering firewall basically operates on rules, guys. As I told earlier also, all the firewalls basically operate on rules. So under these rules, you are going to define how to block that particular how to basically block the particular network, which network you should allow, which, let's say in our scenario, if someone is trying to send a malware here, someone is trying to send a malware, or someone is trying to send one infected file to the server so that he can get access to this particular server. So that time what will happen? Firewall will directly block that particular user's access. So here, how is it trying to block the particular user access? It doesn't have any prior knowledge. So here what we need to do is, we basically need to give it something called as rules. Here we will define the rule sets, and we will basically set some rules so that it is going to differentiate between the packets which have to be in the particular network, which should pass through the network, and which should be blocked outside the network itself. So for that, we basically need to create different rules. So like that, packet filtering firewall basically works. Now, whenever you go for advantages and disadvantages, so each and every firewall basically have some of the advantages, and they also have some of the disadvantages. So what are basically the advantages when it comes to packet filtering firewall? So it is basically simple and efficient. We can tell it is simple and efficient. Second one is going to be low impact on network performance. So how it is basically showing low impact on network performance is because it is not trying to basically stop the traffic, or it is not trying to deal with traffic on its own. It is basically monitoring the packets, and it is basically targeting the malicious content which is present in the packets. So this is how packet filtering firewall works. Now, second one here we have. So let me just give you the definition here for packet filtering firewall. Examines the packets of data which pass through the network. And allows or blocks the access based on the defined rules. Done, guys? Clear, everyone? Packet filtering firewall. Do you have any doubts in this? Any doubts, guys, in packet filtering firewall? Are we good to move towards stateful filtering firewall? Okay, you need disadvantages. Okay, I'll write disadvantages also. Fine. So under disadvantages, guys, so here we have only one particular disadvantage. So what will happen is sometime, so due to this packet filtering firewall, exactly what will happen here, let me just show you. So whenever I have this many clients, I have some 100, 200, 300, 400 clients, and whenever these clients are trying to access the server, now this firewall, what it will do is it basically has a way, right? So here what will happen whenever there's a huge data sent, so sometimes there will be a lag in sending the data. Firewall need to packet filtering firewall is basically used to examine each and every packet. Now, whenever it is examining each and every packet, what will happen is it needs to basically maintain the track of those packets. For that, to maintain each and every packet's track, to monitor and to basically check whether each and every packet is safe or not, we will basically face something called as, sometimes in rare cases, we will basically get something called as low latency. Latency issues. Something called as latency issues. So latency is nothing but, guys, it is basically related to speed. So latency, let's may face latency issues because of packet tracking. So whenever it is basically trying to track all the packets, sometimes what will happen is it will not be efficient and it will not perform in the same way how it was performing before. So at some peak point, it will basically be little bit slower, and that will basically take lot of time to people to basically get access to this server. So here there will be basically some kind of, all the packets will be there. So to examine each and every packet and to allow that packet to enter into the network, so that time what will happen is they basically will face something called as latency issues. Latency is nothing but something related to speed. So the speed will be decreased, efficiency will be decreased. So that is only one kind of disadvantage, and it is basically faced only when there are a lot of people who are trying to access the network. Normal times it is good, but sometimes it is basically much more higher. So that is only one kind of disadvantage. Now we got something called as proxy firewall. So guys, what do we understand with the name of proxy first? So whenever you go for proxies, guys, it basically acts as an some kind of intermediary between the client and servers. So how it basically acts as an intermediary between clients and servers is, so whenever a client is basically requesting access to any kind of resource, so that time what it will do is it will basically connect to some proxy firewall instead of the destination server. So here, yeah, hiding IP and changing IP. Those are basically the main concepts. So let me just show you. Here if the client is there, and here if we basically have the server. Here we basically have the server. Now, this is basically going to be the whole architecture here. This is basically going to be the whole architecture. Now, whenever I say this is client, and this is going to be the server. Now, here, whenever we have something called as proxy firewall, what it exactly it will do, guys, just try to observe. Just a second. We just, yeah. What exactly it will do? Now, whenever I have firewall here in between, so this particular firewall, whenever it needs to connect to the destination server. So client here is asking the firewall to give the access to this particular server. That is a resource. Now in between what it will do is, it will basically not directly connect to the server. Instead of directly connecting to the server, it is going to connect this particular connection to some external location. And then from here, it is going to build the connection to the server. And from here only the whatever the files are being shared, from here itself, from the external destination, third destination, the basically the files will be shared or some data will be shared. So rather than client connecting directly to the server, what proxy will do, proxy will connect to some another particular external source. From that external server, then it is going to connect to this particular server, and then it is going to share all the files. So let me just make it more clear. Let's consider this as a database. Let's consider this as a database, then it will be much more clear for you guys to understand. And here I have, here I have server. Here I have another external server. This is going to be external server. So here connection will come from the client, and again proxy is going to take this database and connect to this server, and then firewall is going to connect to this server. So exactly what is happening here? Exactly what is happening here? The files, whatever should be shared from a particular database to client directly, it is not being shared directly, but this particular external server is acting as a man in the middle, and he is basically trying to uh, be the mediator. So if something happens, so let's say client, whatever client is there, if it is basically trying to send some kind of malicious content or whatever it is, so rather than affecting directly to the database, the effect will be done to this particular external server. So rather than something happening to the whole network, our own network, this particular proxy, it will make sure that our network is completely safe, and this external server will basically, if there is some kind of damage, this external server will be responsible for the damage. And if it is no damage also, it can basically protect our databases location. It can basically protect our whole infrastructure from being infected or from being attacked from the user. Sir, can I set up proxy network? Now I can require server firewall will detect or not. I can set up proxy network. So guys, see, whenever you're trying to basically use proxy network, your IP address will get hidden. So firewall basically has the ability to detect your particular location easily, and it will block your access. It will not allow you. So if you are a legit user, if you are a legit IP address holder, then only if you request from your original IP, then only you will get the access to the database or server, whatever you're trying to get access. Otherwise, it is not possible. Sir, will there be any time delay because of using proxy? No, there will be no time because of this. It is basically whenever you go for this particular packet filtering firewall or any kind of stateful firewall or proxy firewall, normal firewall, how much time it will take? It will take the same time, and whatever normal firewall disadvantages are there, the same disadvantages will be carried for the proxy firewall. Because of this external connection, we might think that network will get slower, file sharing will get slower. So there is nothing like that. So whenever you go for disadvantages here, same thing, whatever you see in the packet filtering firewall, here also we have only one particular disadvantage, that is a latency issue. The same thing what will happen is, because of this particular complex infrastructure, complex architecture, because there are some external servers involved and connection is not going direct, it is basically going from the third party. Exactly, the little bit of latency issues will be there. It will not be so efficient. So network might get little bit slower, so that it is basically using the proxy. It might configure whatever the configuration is there, whatever the management is there, that might take more time. So that is the only part. Same thing whenever you go for packet filtering also, it is showing the same thing. And whenever you go for proxy firewall also, there is only being the speed issue, that's it. See, if I basically don't have firewall here, then it is much more easier to connect to the database and particular servers. Either any kind of firewall it might be. The reason why we have firewall is it might be little bit slower. It might have few kind of latency issues, but at some extent, some point, we are trying to protect our whole architecture. Whatever infrastructure is there, we are trying to protect it. For that, definitely we use firewalls. So this is how proxy firewalls work, guys. So let me just give you the brief definition here itself. Firewall is more than Windows Defender. See, Windows Defender is basically used on end our laptops itself. So whatever we are downloading, it also works on logs and everything, but it is only for the client's end. It is not for the architecture, the complete infrastructure. Firewalls are basically used for the whole infrastructure. They deal with servers, databases, different resources. But whenever you go for Defender, we have only one particular laptop. It only deals with one particular laptop. That is some kind of for that particular you have few limitations, but firewall you have some kind of wide limitations where you can add n number of resources in your network. It will protect all your particular resources, either it is servers, databases, laptops, anything. That is why firewalls, that is the difference between firewalls and our antiviruses or defenders, whatever we use. So here proxy firewall. Let me just give you the definition, guys, first. Sorry. Acts as an intermediary between client and server. Client and server. So intercepts and evaluates the traffic on behalf of clients. So this is what proxy, this is how proxy firewall works like, guys. So this is the exact definition. Now, whenever you go for advantages and disadvantages, so the advantages is basically going to be simple. It basically provides some kind of enhanced security by hiding the internal IP address of the resources of our infrastructure. And it can also perform some kind of packet filtering, content filtering, and it can improve the performance of the security. So that is one thing. So whenever you go for proxy, the main goal is to hide the IP address of our internal servers and internal databases. So here we are basically hiding the internal particular IP address, and we are exposing the external server's IP address that is related to firewall. So that is exactly how we are securing our own IP addresses. Now, whenever you go for disadvantages, so it is basically because of the latency. Now, here I told you day before yesterday, I remember. So here I told you something how basically firewalls works. So here you have something called as hops. These hops are nothing but these are multiple locations from where your network will pass through. So here whenever it passes through one hop, this hop basically represents one location and one IP address, another hop, another IP address, and another location, and again another hop, another IP address, another location. Exactly whenever you go for this particular firewalls architecture also, here also in between you have something called as hops. So this is basically one hop. This is basically one hop from where your network is basically coming. So this is going to be hop. So like this, you can basically pass here one our particular connection is passing through single hop. You can basically maintain different hops. Let's say if I want second hop, I can basically keep one more server here and I can present here another hop. And again, once it passes through this hop, it will connect to the server. And again, another hop. Like that, you can basically keep multiple hops for multiple servers. So exactly that is how proxy firewall protects our infrastructure, whatever we have. So till here, any doubts, guys? Anyone? Any doubts? Is it clear? How to detect the firewall? How to detect the firewall fake IP? So how basically firewall detects the fake IP addresses is, so whenever you're using proxy, the only one thing, if you want to hide your IP address, you are going to use the proxy. So firewall is going to basically trace all the route from that, from where the traffic is coming. If the traffic is coming from multiple IPs, then it is going to block. If the traffic is coming from single IP, then it is going to allow. So does proxy firewall block the user who is using proxy? Exactly, it is going to block the particular IP address which is using the proxy, because whenever you go for one particular user, let's say this is basically the user, and if the user is using the proxy, and this is one location, this is second location, this is third location, and here you have firewall, here you have firewall, and here you have the server. So whenever I basically want to connect to this particular server, this is going to be my destination. Now in between, if I am using proxy, here my IP address will change, here my IP address will change, here my IP address will change. Now each and every firewall has some ability called as route tracing. So whenever you use this basically trace route, whenever you try to trace the route of the particular packet, so once you trace, you will get multiple IPs. Automatically, your particular network will get, your particular request will get blocked. So if you are using the single, let's say there is another user who is directly trying to connect, he has only one single IP address, then he will be allowed to connect to the server. So using the proxy also comes under performing the attack. See, if this is basically a hacker, if this is basically a hacker will definitely wants to protect his original IP address. To protect his original IP address, he is going to use the proxy. Exactly. So that is the reason why all proxies will be completely blocked by the firewalls. Sir, does proxy firewall block the user? Yeah, done. Yeah, that's it, guys. Done, guys. Clear? Still, you have any kind of doubts? I hope it is clear now. Okay, let's move forward. So that is how firewalls work, guys, exactly. So here we have something, one more firewall called as stateful inspection firewall. This one, stateful inspection firewall. So we covered packet, we covered proxy. Now we will cover something called as stateful inspection firewall. So what is exactly this stateful inspection firewall and how does it work? Let's discuss. So whenever you go for stateful inspection firewall, guys, it basically operates on two different layers on OSI model. Those two layers are going to be transportation layer and network layer, layer 3 and layer 4 of the OSI model. So here the main role of the stateful inspection firewall is to maintain the state information about the active connections, and it basically uses the information to take filtering decisions. So whenever you tell active connections, so let's say my limit is going to be 100 connections. I have 100 employees. So I will allow only 100 employees to basically connect to my network. Then whenever you go for this stateful inspection, how basically it is going to know that, how basically it is going to take a decision, how basically it is going to allow the particular IP address to connect to the server or not, how it is exactly working is. So firewall, it will basically monitor the state of active connections. That is point one. That includes TCP handshakes, that is three-way handshake. Whenever you want to connect to a server, it is going to send synchronized plus acknowledgement and acknowledgement. That is going to be three-way handshake. So TCP handshake, we can call it. Second one is session information. Session information is nothing but how much time you are spending while you are connected to one particular server. You are connected to one particular server for 1 hour, 2 hours. That also it is going to monitor. Second one is it is going to monitor the packets. What are the packets coming? How basically the packets are being sequenced. That all information it is going to monitor. And whenever you go for rules, in particular stateful inspection firewall, so in stateful inspection firewalls, it basically creates temporary rules to allow return traffic for outbound connections. So how exactly it will work? Let me just show you. So let's say first thing is point number one. Point number one operates on layer 3 and layer 4 of OSI model Point 2 maintains information about active connections. So whatever maintaining information about active connections is nothing but, guys. So whenever I tell active connections, how many connections are being established to that particular server? So how many people are using this server? How many people are performing different actions on this server? So how many people are downloading, uploading, logging in, logging out? These everything are nothing but active connections. Whatever they do, it is going to monitor. Now, next thing is it is going to monitor TCP handshakes. TCP handshakes, sessions information, and packets information. So whenever maintaining active connections is one, so it is going to take decisions on how many people are accessing the server. Second one is it is going to monitor the number of TCP handshakes. So guys, can anyone tell me whenever we are doing TCP handshake, what is the output? Why do we basically use this TCP handshake? Why do we basically use this TCP handshake, guys? Can anyone tell me? To establish a connection. So who is asking this? So TCP full form is going to be transmission control protocol. Transmission control protocol. You basically have two types of protocols. One is TCP and one is UDP. To create connection and acknowledge it. So whenever we are using TCP handshake, so exactly what will happen, guys? Here I have a client. Here I have a server. So let's say this is client. This is basically going to be the server. So whenever there is a client and server, and here I have my website, that is amazon.com. This is amazon.com. So what will happen is whenever I type on my laptop, whenever I search for amazon.com, from here, one particular synchronized packet is being sent to server. Again, server will send synchronized plus acknowledgement packet. Synchronized plus acknowledgement packet. Once this synchronized plus acknowledgement packet is sent, so synchronized packet is going to basically send from the client's laptop because to see whether the server is on or off. That is basically technically called as server is live, host is live, or it is basically going to be turned off. So if it is active, then it is going to send synchronized plus acknowledgement. It is going to tell that, yes, I am live, I am basically working, I am sending the acknowledgement. Once the acknowledgement is received to the client, then client is going to send another acknowledgement telling that I want to build a connection. Okay, I want to build the connection with you. Then the connection is being built. Now here in this particular three-way handshake, if the server is turned off, if server is not working properly and it is not in a particular state to allow another people to connect to this particular website, then it is not going to send the acknowledgement packet. This particular packet will not be sent. Then automatically here also, once it doesn't send this packet, client will think that, okay, server is not live. Then you will get something called as you can swap error or something called as connection interruption. Those kind of errors you will get on your browser. So once we basically build three-way handshake, then server is going to take our request from here. It is going to process the request and it is going to redirect the particular request to the website, that is amazon.com. Then you will be able to view the amazon.com. So whenever you're trying to search something on Google, this is the basically the particular part which will play a role to build your connection to that particular website. This is how three-way handshake will work, guys. Exactly. So it is here, this firewall is going to monitor this three-way handshakes. The reason why it is going to monitor the three-way handshake is how many people are successfully connected to this particular server. It is going to check. Based upon that, it is going to operate. So this is how stateful tracking works. Stateful tracking itself is called as, first thing is monitoring active connections. Second one is monitoring TCP handshakes, sessions information, and packets information that are being shared in the network. So this all comes under the stateful inspection. Now, whenever you go for advantages and disadvantages, here I have advantages. What are going to be the advantages? So it basically definitely offers better security, because it is monitoring whole complete network, who is connecting, how many people are connected, how many people are successfully connected, how many people are not successfully connected, how many active sessions are there, how many sessions are left, everything it is going to monitor. So definitely it is going to be your better security. Second one is going to be decision making. Decision based on the context of traffic. So whenever I tell based on the context of traffic, here whenever it is basically monitoring three-way handshakes, active connections. So these are nothing but, guys, this is basically the traffic information. So based upon this particular traffic only, it is going to take the decisions. So for that, that is basically the advantage, that decision based on the context of traffic. Now, guys, whenever you go for stateful inspection and packet filtering packet filtering firewall. Under this packet filtering firewall, we are going to monitor only packets. So under this stateful inspection, we are monitoring packets, and as well as we are also monitoring the TCP handshakes, active connections, sessions, and other information. So better security, and also better than packet filtering firewall. These are basically going to be two different advantages. Now, whenever it comes to disadvantages, now we have disadvantages. Can anyone tell me what are going to be the disadvantages, guys? So based upon these advantages, what will be the disadvantages? Can anyone tell me what are the disadvantages faced by stateful inspection firewall? So based upon packet filtering and proxy also, you can consider those disadvantages as well, because they are also some kind of firewalls only. So based upon that also, you can consider the disadvantages. So there is one particular common disadvantage in this firewall. Can anyone tell me what is that common disadvantage? In packet filtering firewall, it is a same disadvantage. Proxy also, it is the same disadvantage. Stateful inspection also, we are having the same disadvantage. What is the disadvantage, guys? Latency. Exactly. Low latency. Here also you will have latency issues. That is basically going to be the only one particular disadvantage. So that is all about firewalls, guys. Clear, guys, till here? Stateful inspection, proxy firewall, packet filtering firewall, three firewalls have been completed. Till here, any doubts, anyone? Any doubts, guys? Or we are good to go to another topic? Now here, no doubts. Okay. Now here guys, we have something called as intrusion detection system. Can anyone tell me what is intrusion detection system? Can anyone tell me what is intrusion detection system? Based upon firewalls only, you can tell what is intrusion, IDS and IDS, intrusion detection system. Anyone? Exactly. So whenever you go for intrusion detection system, correctly, so it basically detects and alert admin IDs, maintains network traffic, looks for unusual activity and sends the alerts when it occurs. Detects and threats. Exactly, guys. Whenever you go for intrusion detection system, an exact definition is an IDS. IDS is nothing but intrusion detection system. Is a security mechanism to designed to detect the threats and alert the administrator. So this is basically okay. Detect the just a moment, guys, and alert the administrator about the potential threats and security breach. Whenever I tell something about security breach, you can also consider it as an login ID or login ID password. Whenever you go for portal, when some people try to bypass that particular portal and they try to get into network, that is also some kind of security breach case. So IDS is basically a security mechanism designed to detect threats and designed to detect the threat and alert the administrator about the potential threats and security breach. Just add in a network. That is basically how IDS works. Now, whenever you go for IDS, guys, there are basically two types of IDS, intrusion detection systems. Two types of intrusion detection systems. Two types. Can anyone tell me what are those two types as well? Anyone? Two types of intrusion detection systems. One is network based, host based, and network based. Exactly. Network based IDS and also host based IDS. Two types of intrusion detection systems are there. Now, let me just explain what is in network based first. Network based IDS. So whenever you go for network based IDS, guys, the name itself tells that network based IDS deals on network. So network based intrusion detection system basically monitors all the network traffic for some kind of suspicious activities, and it is going to see whether who is trying to sign in, who is trying to sign out and everything. It analyzes all the packets which are flowing through the network and compares them against the known attack signatures and anomalous behaviors. Now guys, here I got something called as anomaly detection. So can anyone tell me what is anomaly detection, guys? The word is anomaly. What is anomaly, guys? Anomaly detection. What is anomaly detection? So let me give you a good example for anomaly detection. If I have a credit card For an example, if I basically have a credit card and that credit card limit is 1 lakh, okay, credit card limit is 1 lakh, and every month I am trying to spend from 10,000 to 30,000 on that credit card, and I pay my bills in time. So 10,000 to 30,000, I never cross the limit 30,000. So like this, I am doing for 3 to 4 years. Now, exactly on one day, what will happen is in one single day, I will swipe my credit card on some unknown particular merchant, which is basically not known merchant. It is whenever I basically swipe my credit card, there are few people who basically are either shopping malls, either some kind of normal different kind of people who receive the amount. Now this time I basically swiped my credit card on an unknown person for the first time in 5 years. That is one point. And also in one particular day, I swiped my credit card and got 20,000 first, then 50,000, then again 30,000. That is exactly the whole amount in one single day. So here what will happen is when if you go for past 11 months, it never crossed 30,000. In 12th month, exact one day only, it basically transacted 1 lakh rupees in one single day. So here what exactly bank will do is it will basically look for the pattern. So 11 months pattern is different. This 1 month pattern is different. Why is it different? So I'll get a message from bank that there is a 1 lakh transaction in one day. If not you, please complain on this link. Automatically, it is going to send me a particular alert message. So how is this happening is because based upon that particular 11 months of pattern, it is going to basically detect whether it is the same user who is using the card or not. So that is basically called as anomaly detection. So anomaly detection exactly technically if you tell based upon the particular events, whatever you perform in one particular cycle, if the events are being monitored and there is slightly a different change in that particular event, then automatically it will basically be detected and alerted to the particular user. So based upon that events, you're going to detect. Exactly in this particular network-based firewall also, we got something called as anomaly detection. So here, let me just write for the whole definition. So it is going to monitors the traffic, first thing. For suspicious activity, and analyzes the packets flow through the network compares them from the known attack signatures or anomalous patterns. You can also tell anomalous behavioral patterns. So this is exactly how this firewall functions. Sorry, intrusion detection system functions. First thing, it is going to monitor the whole traffic. It is going to monitor the whole traffic activity. It is going to analyze what are the packets flowing in the network, from where the packet, who is sending the packets, who is receiving the packets. So everything it is going to look for the network security. And after that, it is going to compare the whole particular session, whatever is there. It can basically to compare it to some kind of anomalous behavior patterns. Nothing but what were the past patterns, what is the present pattern. Based upon it is going to see whether it is a normal or it is basically the abnormal activity in the network. So if there is some kind of abnormal activity, it is going to detect it and it is going to send an alert to the administrator. So administrator can decide whether to keep that particular IP address in the network or to block the connection of that particular IP address. So that is exactly how it is going to work, guys. Now, whenever you go for advantages, so advantages are nothing but real-time monitoring is there for network-based threats, and also it can detect and it can also generate the alerts to the particular administrator. So whenever there is some kind of attack performed on the particular infrastructure of the company, so that time we can basically stop that particular attack because it is already been detected. So that is one advantage. Let me just write here advantages. Real-time monitoring is one. Real-time monitoring is one. Second one is going to be network monitoring for network-based attacks. So these are basically two different advantages. Detecting the attack and generating alerts. Now, whenever you go for a disadvantage, guys, in disadvantage, we got something called as false positive. False positive is nothing but false positive. So false positive is nothing but, guys, gave you the credit card scenario, right? So let's say a bank is going to send a message, but if the owner, that is basically me who is holding the card, if I only transact that 1 lakh rupees in one day, then it is basically going to be the false positive. But if some kind of robber or someone, another person try to steal my card is being stolen and he is trying to get the money, then it is going to be true event. Then it is basically going to be the true event. But if I am only the owner and I am only taking the money out and I am only getting the alert, something like about the transaction information, then it is considered as a false positive. False. It is considered as a false positive attack. False positive. Here you can write generates false positive alerts. So false positive is nothing but, guys, if there is an hacker who is trying to access, then it is good. But if there is a normal user, then also it is generating an alert, then it basically considered as a false positive. So that is basically one disadvantage, only one single disadvantage for this. Okay, this is about intrusion detection system, network-based intrusion detection system. Now, let's move forward and discuss our second IDS, that is HIDS, host-based intrusion detection system, also known as HIDS. Now, guys, whenever you go for a host-based intrusion detection system, so it is going to monitor each and every host. So host is nothing but here. Let's go back here. This is basically the client and server is going to be the host. Host is nothing but the person who is trying to take the connections and who is trying to build a connection. So server is basically the host. So whenever you go for host-based intrusion detection system, it is going to detect all the connections which are getting connected to this particular server. Is a system that monitors and analyzes the, just a second, guys. is a system that monitors and analyzes the internals of a computing system for suspicious activity. If it detects malicious activities or policy violations, it can report them. This type of IDS is installed on individual hosts or any device on a network. Okay. Detects threats and patterns of attack. Okay. So whenever you go for this particular host-based intrusion detection system, guys, it is going to basically look for this particular host, and this host, whenever some person is trying to connect, let's say here the connection is built, this particular point is called an endpoint. This is basically called an endpoint. So like that, whenever a particular client is going to build a connection with the host, so all that particular endpoints are being examined and also they are being monitored. So all that endpoints are being monitored. Either it can examine logs, whatever logs are there. It can examine file integrity. File integrity is nothing but whatever data is being shared. And also another host specific data, which are basically being shared with the clients to detect whether there is some kind of compromise or some kind of unauthorized access. Here in the past firewall, we are monitoring the whole network and everything, but here we are going to monitor only host. Based upon this host, whatever we are what we are trying to monitor, we are trying to monitor the endpoints. We are trying to monitor the file. We are taking file integrity as a main part, where whatever the files are being shared, that we are monitoring. We are also monitoring the logs which are being generated by the server. Logs in the sense how many people are trying to connect, what is the base of connection and everything. And also we are going to see whether it is an authorized access or some kind of unauthorized access to this particular server. So the whole security completely lies on this particular host who is trying to take the connections from outside and who is trying to send the connections to different resources. That is either database and any another different resources which are connected to this main source. So that is how host-based intrusion detection works. Whenever you compare intrusion detection system, network IDS and host IDS, so network IDS completely concentrates on the network. But whenever you go for host, host-based IDS concentrates on the complete host. Either it is a connection where it is getting connected to the endpoint, that particular endpoint security. If you go for file sharing, you can go for file integrity security. Whenever it is trying to access login, logout, you go for log security. And whenever it is trying to authorize one particular request or do something, then you're going to check whether it is authorized or unauthorized. So that is how it is going to do, guys. So that is host-based intrusion detection system. Here it is going to look for all the malicious or suspicious activities, whichever client is going to connect to host and it is trying to perform. So whenever you go for advantages, you can go for it is basically some kind of detailed visibility. Detailed visibility is nothing but each and everything in detail it is going to check. That is basically one of the biggest advantage. And whenever you go for host-based intrusion detection system, so let's say 100 systems are connected to one particular server, it is going to monitor the each and every particular connection. That is 100 clients are there, 100 clients connection it is going to monitor. That is how it is going to detect the attacks and intrusions. So disadvantages are nothing but, guys. So whenever you're trying to, let me just take you back. Here, whenever you're basically trying to monitor each and every connection. So let me just draw and show you guys. It will be much more clear. So here we have a network. We have a server. We have our database. And here we have few of the clients. Here we have few of the clients. So guys, whenever I consider these all of them as clients, and let's say clients, let's consider this as a server. Let's consider this as a database. Now, whenever I tell this is basically the server, client, and database. So here one client is building a connection, and again another client is building a connection. Again, another client is building a connection. Like this, all the clients, n number of clients will try to build the connection. For database also, we got two connections. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 connections are being connected to this particular server, and 2 particular clients are trying to access the database. Now here what will happen is, so this basically became one endpoint. This basically became second one. This point became the third one. This point became the fourth one. So here, whenever these are basically different endpoints, what exactly will happen is, to monitor these 4 different clients, we need something installed in these 4 different clients' computers so that we can monitor the whole activity. So one of the biggest disadvantages is going to be that here we need some kind of additional software under this client's computers to monitor the whole particular whatever the files are being shared, whatever the access is being shared, either it is authorized or unauthorized. For that, we need some kind of additional agents. That's a particular software is called as additional agent. So if you have agent installed in this particular host's computer, then we can basically will be able to monitor. Otherwise, we will not be able to monitor the complete whatever security is there. We will not be able to monitor the particular security. Clear, guys? So that is how host based intrusion detection system works. So here, let me just take this. I'll try to give you guys definition first. So here HIDS monitors activity of an individual hosts. HIDS monitors activity of an individual hosts. Also, again, we got it examines system logs. You can go for file sharing. We got something called as file integrity. And the last one is access authorization. Access authorization and many other host based data to detect the sense of compromised or unauthorized access. Now here, whenever you go for advantages, detailed, first advantage is going to be detailed visibility of the traffic into the security of individual hosts. Second one, we got disadvantages. There is only one disadvantage. requires additional software agents installed in each host, which can impact the performance. Performance of the host. So this is it, guys. This is all about host-based intrusion detection system. So this is how host-based intrusion detection system works. So till here, any doubts, guys? Anyone? Do you have any doubts? Any doubts? Anyone? No, okay. I hope till here it is everything clear. So we basically completed our firewalls and intrusion detection system module. So next module is going to be, guys, operating systems. Can anyone tell me what is operating system? How basically operating system works? Anything? So guys, tell me one thing. How many types of operating systems are there? First thing, how many types of operating systems are there? What are those types of operating systems? One person is telling four types. One person is telling two types. Yeah, I'm not talking about mobile-based operating systems. I'm talking about PC-based operating systems. What are the two types of operating systems? One is definitely going to be Windows, and the second one is going to be the Linux. Now, guys, whenever you go for these Windows and Linux, what exactly these operating systems do? They are basically going to be the intermediator. So if you want to communicate with the particular computer, so to basically perform the activities, to perform different kind of activities, to communicate with the computer, to perform different interactions. So each and everything you need some kind of interface, right? You need some kind of interface. So if your laptop is having hard disk, RAM, memory, everything, will you be able to perform the different activities? No, you definitely need something, some kind of user interface where you can download, upload, where you can configure and do number of things. For that reason, we basically need an operating system. That is the exact place where we basically have something called as operating system. Now, guys, whenever you go for these operating systems, there are basically two types. One is Windows and one is Linux. So Windows, you can tell what is the latest version of Windows we have now, guys? Windows 11, right? So under this Windows 11, we got different things. That is, we got something called as start menu. We got something called as improved performance. We got enhanced security features. Right? If you compare the Windows from Windows XE to Windows 11 or Windows past versions to Windows 11, they are basically different things which have been improved in this particular version. That is, performance has been improved, security has been enhanced, and there are a lot of features which has been considered and been corrected in this particular Windows 11. So whenever you go for architecture, can anyone tell me what is the architecture and components of Windows? What are the architecture? First one is we'll discuss architecture and components. Guys, what are the architecture and components of Windows? Can anyone tell me about architecture and Windows? Wow, architecture and components. One is definitely going to be kernel UI. Okay. So first thing is this, under architecture and components, you got something called as kernel. So what is kernel, guys? So it is basically one of the core component which manages system resources, hardware, some kind of low level services. Especially kernel is basically used for hardware management and core components management. So core components, so this is the core component. Just a moment. The core component which manages hardware and also system resources. Next, guys, what is the next one? User interface. Okay. Second one is graphical user interface, GUI. Why do we use GUI, guys? Anyone? Why do we use GUI? What is the basic need of GUI in operating system, either in Windows, either in Linux, anywhere? Easy to access. So under this particular Windows, you got two types. One is command line interface, one is graphical user interface. Command line interface is basically something like a complete, you will have one screen where you can only in terminal basically, you can, let me just show you. Under my laptop also I have a terminal. Just a moment, guys. I have it here. So here I have the terminal. So whenever you go for this particular terminal, I can type different commands. Like if I want to know my IP address, I can go for ifconfig. Enter. So here I got my IP address. Here I got my IP address. So like that, you can basically do different commands. You can use different commands. That is basically command line interface. So whenever you go for graphical user interface, we have graphical user interface, which basically helps us to use this complete operating system and access it very easily. It basically includes something like start menu for accessing the applications. You have taskbar to see the open windows. You have file explorer to manage the files. For those all systems, you have something called as graphical user interface. Graphical user interface to manage the applications easily. Very simple. Next, guys, what is the third one after GUI? What is the another component after GUI? File system. One is file system. So why do we have file system, guys? What is the job of file system? So the file system is basically, you can tell we can basically use it for compression, extraction of files, compression, extraction of files. You can also have something called as robust security features, robust security, robust security features, which can basically, yeah, also you have something called as encryption here. Right, guys, encryption and robust security features. This is how file systems work. Next, we got something called as control panel. So guys, what I will do is I will not mention each and everything on the screen. a few common things. Just try to remember. We got something called as control panel and something called as settings. So control panel, everyone know we use it for system configuration and customization. So everyone know what is task manager. It is basically a tool where you monitor all the performance of your computer. You manage the running applications. You manage different tasks. You handle different tasks, and that is basically how task manager works. Now we got something called as PowerShell and command prompt. This I need to write. PowerShell and command prompt. Can anyone tell me what is PowerShell and command prompt? Guys, anyone what is PowerShell and command prompt? So whenever you go for PowerShell and command prompt, guys, these are two tools which work on command line interface. Command line interface, also specified as CLI. These are basically CLI tools, command line interface tools. So these basically used command line tools which are basically used for advancement of management and automation. Sir, power are missing now. What is power? What happened, Shiva? What are you trying to tell? Power are okay. Understood. Power are understood. So PowerShell and command prompt, these are basically command line interface tools, guys, which basically support you for automation. Tools supports advanced management and automation tool. Automation tools. So this is basically about command and information. So these are basically two powerful tools, guys, which are used to manage different kind of you can tell tasks, and also you can basically use it for automation of n number of tasks. That is how we use command line and PowerShell. Now, whenever you go for user account control, we got something called as user account control. So under this user account control, guys, we can create n number of users. Now, whenever you go for, if you have something called as one particular Windows operating system, you have one Lenovo laptop. Under that one particular laptop, we have admin access, we have different users access. Now, you might have observed in your labs, in your college labs, laboratories, you have different laptops, different computers, PCs, and in that PCs, you have something called as user access, you got something called as admin access. Whenever you log in into admin access, all the applications, files, whatever are there, they are different. Whenever you go for user access, the files, whatever are there, they are different. So complete, it is basically differentiated. So we have something called as user access control. So under this user access control, what will happen is user access control. So under this user access control, we will basically create different profiles. There is different users to control the access. So let's say in one computer, I got something called as admin and I got normal user. Student admin, both are there. So admin basically is a person who can create question papers, who can create answer sheets, attendance sheets and everything, who is your faculty. Now, whenever you go for a student is the one who should not be able to see these files, right? Who should be able to use only Visual Studio Code or Kali Linux or some kind of different softwares, additional softwares. So in that time, I'll basically use user access control and create different profiles so that it will prevent unauthorized access, that student cannot access admins particular files, whatever admin saved in that particular computer. For that reason, we use UAC to prevent unauthorized access. To prevent unauthorized access. And changes to the system. That is basically exactly how user access control works. Next, we have just a moment, guys. Yeah, done. Now, next feature is security. For security, we got something called as Windows Defender. Windows Defender. So whenever you go for security features, one thing is user access control is one of the Windows security feature, and second one is Windows Defender for the security feature. Third one is going to be BitLocker is going to be the security feature. These three comes under the security features. Now, whenever I tell something about Windows Defender, everyone know it basically provides some kind of built-in antivirus, built-in antivirus protection. Antivirus protection is nothing but whenever you download few files which have virus or which are infected, it will automatically delete those files and it is going to give you an alert that these files were infected. And also it has some kind of firewall capabilities. Whenever I tell something about firewall capabilities, it can basically prevent you from connecting to some kind of unsafe websites which use HTTP protocols rather than using protected HTTPS protocols. And it is also going to defend you from giving access to some another people remotely, which are basically unauthorized to take your system's access. So in that particular different scenarios, Windows Defender will try to protect your system. That is Windows operating systems application. So here we got something called as provides unauthorized access and also it has firewall capabilities. Unauthorized access and firewall capabilities. So guys, these are next one, your last one we got BitLocker, right? Can anyone tell me what is BitLocker? Guys, what is BitLocker? Anyone? What is BitLocker, guys? You try to find out the answer. Meantime, I'll just copy this. Guys, what is BitLocker? Windows encryption technology that protects your data and unauthorized access, protects the data, providing the full encryption feature. So exactly, guys, BitLocker is used to, it will basically encrypt the entire disk to protect the data. So whatever disk is there, whatever ISO is there, whatever some kind of data is there, in the high volume, it is basically whatever the high volume data is there, either it is high volume or low volume. It basically has the ability to encrypt the whole data. So it is simple. Encrypts the entire disk to protect data. Then guys, now this is all about Windows. Now we have another operating system. What is another operating system we got? First operating system was Windows. What is the second operating system, guys? Second operating system, Linux. Now, in Linux, guys, what are the different types of Linux operating systems? Can anyone tell? Types of Linux operating systems. We basically also call as flavors of Linux. What are the different types of Linux operating systems? Can anyone tell me? No, see, Ubuntu is one. Try to give the whole information. So in one message, try to type all the list. Now, why are you sending different messages? So Kali Linux and Parrot, leave it. By leaving the Kali Linux and Parrot, tell me different things. I need the list. Okay, I'll give you. First one is Fedora. CentOS. Red Hat. Another one is Sushi. Another one is Debian. Another one is Linux Mint. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See guys, these are basically majorly used Linux operating systems which have been used by majority of the people. So if you go for more versions, I can just write, you got Nopix, you got MX Linux, you got Magia, you got Rocky, you got Oracle, you got Slackware, you got Gento. Gento is one. Gento. So these are all different Linux operating systems are there. The list will be going. And now we got something called as customized Linux. Customized Linux operating systems. Guys, what are the customized Linux operating systems? Customized in the sense you will get a lot of applications in that operating system. Already applications will be installed. Already softwares will be installed. What are those kinds of Linux operating systems? Two are there. There are two operating systems in Linux where you will get all the applications installed, 100 plus applications installed, everything will be configured. What are the two customized Linux operating systems? You got Kali Linux, and what is another one, guys? Parrot. Here you got Ubuntu. So whenever I tell something about, just a moment. Yes, whenever I tell something about customized Linux operating systems, so customized Linux operating systems is like you basically have all the applications installed in that particular operating system. So you can download it and use it in the same way. So that is how it is been done. So Kali Linux and Parrot are two different operating systems. Now guys, whenever you go for Linux operating systems, if you basically go for the development part, so first it was basically Unix. Inspired by Unix, Linux was created. So Linux was created by so basically whoever created the Linux, he took the inspiration from the Unix operating system. So that is how Linux was created in 1991. Now, whenever you go for this particular operating system, it is Linux is one of the most powerful and flexible operating systems with different kind of configurations as compared to Windows. If you compare Windows and Linux, Windows is basically considered for user interface, easy management and everything. But whenever you go for the most powerful operating systems, Linux has produced one of the most powerful operating systems. And one more thing, whenever you want to download Linux operating systems, these are all open source nature operating systems. Whenever you tell open source, the majority of them are going to be free operating systems. If you want to download Windows, you need some kind of key and everything. There are a lot of different things. But if you want to download Linux operating systems, directly you can download and you can start working on Linux operating system. It is that simple. So we'll just try to cover this Linux operating systems. Then I'll share the attendance link and then you can basically go guys. Yep. Okay. So here again, whenever I talk about the same thing, architecture and components. So we'll do one thing. Tomorrow we will discuss about architecture and components because it is like 10 to 15 points are there. So now we'll in 10 minutes we'll not be able to cover those. So tomorrow we will basically discuss architecture and components. Done guys. So attendance link has been shared. So don't type any kind of messages for at least 5 minutes. Please try to fill this attendance link first. It is basically feedback link. Once you fill it, you will get. I'll also share it in the group chat. Please fill it, guys. Yeah, tomorrow definitely I'll discuss why do we use Linux in servers other than Windows. Definitely I'm going to discuss that point. That is the reason why Linux is the white topic. I stopped the class here only. Still we have a lot to discuss. See, one of the basic reason why we use Linux in servers here only, I told you that Linux is like good in performance and also it is basically one of the, you can tell whenever you go for operating systems, it is one of the flexible operating system. So that is the main reason we use Linux. And one more thing, whenever you go for Linux, security is more enhanced in Linux as compared to Windows. That is also one of the reason. In Windows also we got number of operating systems. Windows is also basically used in servers, nothing like that. But whenever you go for this one, what is SIP-Nota? What is SIP-Note? Where did you get this word SIP-Note? SIP-Note, sorry, spy note. That is what I'm wondering. What is SIP-Note? Spy note is nothing but it is basically some kind of spyware that steals some information or whenever you go for keylogger, I hope you know what is keylogger. So whatever keystrokes are there, whatever I type, everything it will store, and whatever call logs are there, it will store. So it is basically sent to any device So once the device is sent and there is basically that particular person successfully installs it. So once he basically installs it, there will basically you will get a message on the uh, panel that session has been created. So whatever he is typing, whatever call logs are there, whatever information is there, that everything you can monitor. Spy note. What is Mobihic and keylogger? See, keylogger is nothing but if I am typing something, see, if someone installed keylogger in my laptop, okay. So once a person installs keylogger in my laptop, and if I am typing my email ID, password, everything, so whatever I type, he will be able to see in that particular keylogger. So keylogger is basically used to, you can tell, steal the data, whatever is typed on that particular laptop. Now, whenever you go for a Mobihic is also some kind of Trojan. So it is also basically used for remote access. Once you download that Mobihic Trojan, you can be able to access whatever in that computer files are there, everything. So it is some kind of privilege escalation. So you don't need user ID password. Once he downloads it, you will get a remote connection. Remotely, you will be able to access everything. How to information gathering in specific IP address. Yeah, I'll tell. We have see guys, one thing to mention here. This particular once we complete this particular module, that is operating systems. After completing operating systems, we have practical. From that time only, in the next class itself, we will start doing practicals, guys. We will go for a scanning part. We'll go for Nmap and everything. Can you please end the session as other session is going to start at 7? Yeah, okay. So then guys, there is one more question here. How IP logger works, sir? So IP logger basically it is like some URL shortener or something, I guess. So you will try to grab different IPs. See, attendance link has been shared here. Try to fill it first. Everyone try to fill the attendance link. Sharing it again. See, session hijacking, SQL injection, everything we'll discuss. Everything is there in the curriculum. Don't worry. We got something called as OASP top 10 vulnerabilities, right? So web applications, all the vulnerables, everything we'll discuss. Don't worry about it. We have everything in curriculum. Detect TCP packet, how to encrypt data to see it. I'll tell everything in upcoming classes. We got different modules. In networking module, I'll teach you guys. Don't worry. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Fill the link, fill the form, and you can leave the session. Thank you.